This is the MGTOW Infinium here with another Infinium out and about. This Infinium out and about is entitled The Assumption of Our Craziness. Now, my brothers, I'm out here in the Stumpy Lake Nature Reserve and Golf Course in Virginia Beach. And my brothers, I have never visited this area since I've been living out here. And I, of course, now see that when I get my photography gear together and get some other gear together, I have to come back out here and do some photographic capture or B-roll, this and that and whatever. But my brothers, I just want to talk to you briefly about the assumption of our craziness. Now, my brothers, what I mean by this is the ongoing attack that we get specifically by we men, we MGTOW men, being called mentally ill because we choose to live a life of freedom and in peace. And my brothers, what got me thinking about this was, again, Dr. Boyce Watkins, who was out there doubling down again about his stance that men who do not, or I should say single men who do not want to get married, who do not want to marry that single mother, who do not want to get married, go back and build up the community, go back and be a slave, so to speak, those men are mentally ill. And my brothers, it again disturbs me when men speak like this, when they say these things, when they tell men who are free men that they must be slaves, that they are mentally ill, again, because of their stance of being free as men. But my brothers, the assumption of our craziness, when we look at it, when we look at those people that assume that we are mentally ill, we have to consider that they are assuming those things because of the types of things that are going on in their mind. And it is this, my brothers. They are working from the standpoint of womanism. And they are working from the standpoint of womanism and the constructs it builds for both male and female children on up to their adult lives. And that is, again, the construct that females are the masters and males are the slaves. That construct, that indoctrination, again, is built into all children, and particularly children of the later years of going from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s on up. That indoctrination, that standpoint, that construct is built into them. And so these men, women, cucks, simps, who all say that we are mentally ill as MGTOW men, are working from that construct. They are working from that indoctrination. And they, of course, do not know what it is to be free. Now, my brothers, we as MGTOW men, we have that construct and that indoctrination in us. But that construct and that indoctrination has been nullified by our adoption of the MGTOW philosophy. And so it becomes logical to us that freedom is the only way to go. And it becomes logical to us that when we walk in freedom, it is not a trivial thing. It is something that involves a critical thought process of looking at the societal trends, looking at the the negatives of being married, looking at what happens to men, looking at the overall persecution of men in this current society. And again, because of that indoctrination, because of that type of construct that is working in the minds of men like Dr. Boyce Watkins, they cannot overcome it, and they come out with these standpoints of men who seek their freedom are crazy, that men who don't want to get married are crazy, that men who don't want to marry a single mother are crazy. They come out with these things. My brothers, as I said in other bits of my content, it is not a simplistic process which is happening here. It is a complex set of processes, which again, because of the constructs and the indoctrination that these men are operating from. Now, again, when you look at what is going on when these men are saying these things, or women, etc., it is a part of their whims, but again, it is a deeply embedded part of their lives, which says to them that, again, women are the masters and men are slaves. That's what it's doing to them, my brothers. But what it's saying to us is that we have no right whatsoever, because we are men, to seek our freedom. Again, it is simplistic on face value, but again, that statement, that understanding, that false understanding is based upon, again, a complex set of processes that are going on within the minds of both females and males. Now, my brothers, when these things are said, when they say that men should be slaves, you have to consider that all men should be slaves when they're saying these things. So that means that any man of any stature, any man who is rich, any man who is middle class, maybe poor, that Chad, that Tyrone, that Pookie, that Ray Ray, all of these men are considered to be slaves. There are no free men when it comes to that construct that is built by womanism and the indoctrination which it promotes. There is no exception when it comes to that construct which is built upon womanism and the indoctrination which is ensuing because of that construct. There is no exception. All men are slaves, whether they be rich, whether they be poor, whether they be middle class, whether they be Pookie, Ray Ray, Chad, Tyrone, all men are slaves. So, my brothers, when you see the types of things that are going on with womanism and the acceptance of maybe a Pookie or Ray Ray or Chad or Tyrone over good men, that is just saying, my brothers, again, that these men are slaves, number one, and number two, that they are following the roles assigned to them as slaves. So you can have under this construct a role where a slave plays the bad boy, and you can have a role where a slave plays the good man, who is the cleanup man. And so under that construct, again, you can have the types of things that are going on where, for instance, women ride the CC and they allow themselves to be run through, allow themselves to be all types of things that happen to them when they ride the CC. And then when they get finished with that slave, that Pookie, that Ray Ray, that Chad, when they get finished with them, or when they get kicked off of the CC because they find that their slaves, that Pookie, that Ray Ray, that Chad won't deal with them anymore, they then go after the men, the good men, who they also feel as slaves. So that means that as good men, they are also expected to function as slaves. But in this case, it is not upon filling the desires of women, etc. It is cleaning up their messes. And that is the standpoint where we MGTOW men sit at, because we men are lumped into that cleanup process, that cleanup sector that we have been put into by women. And that is again because we seek our freedom. We seek what is best for us rather than to get involved with the machinations of women, etc. And it is because we refuse at that point where we say, no, I will not be a cleanup man. No, I will not waste my time. That's where the issue of mental health comes into play. It is solely because we will not be cleanup men. We will not be the ones who take care of that single mother who has multiple kids by multiple husbands. We will not be the ones who say that I will bow down to you. I will do what you want me to do. I will work as hard as I can only to come home and find that either your women are in the bed of our household with other men, or they have stripped our houses clean, or they have told us that, no, I will not make a sandwich for you, even though you worked hard, even though you did all these things. I will not do it. They think that we as good men deserve the type of thing that they have for us, to be cleanup men, to be the ones who go and rebuild the community only to have it be torn down again and only to have us go back and clean it up again. They expect us to do all these things because, again, that is our assigned role from their standpoint. But my brothers, you have to look at what happens to you when you get that attack about your mental health, because it will come from every area possible. For instance, you would encounter as a son your mother telling you that you have mental health problems only because you will not be married, you will not bear kids, you will not carry on the family name. You will be told by women in general that you have mental health problems because, again, you choose to live your life in peace and in solace. It is across the board that these things happen to you. It is across the board where your mental health is assailed, is insulted, is torn down in some respects because of what is going on. Again, it can and will be across the board the questioning of your mental health because you are a MGTOW man. And it can come from sources like Dr. Boyce Watkins, high authoritative sources, on down to the woman that you meet in the grocery store and you tell her, no, I would rather not date. And she insults you and says that you're crazy because of your mental health problems. My brothers, the thing that we have to understand is that the adversity which we face as MGTOW men, particularly when it comes to the assailing of our mental health, it comes solely from you seeking other than what the feminist plantation state, what womanism wants for you. And you must question yourself every time the assailing of your mental health comes into play and you begin to have those doubts about your MGTOW walk, or you kind of waver. You must question yourself, what is the real source of this adversity? What is the real issue when I say I would rather be free versus being a cleanup man? Is the answer you, in actuality, are doing the correct thing, doing the wise thing? Or is the answer you need to be a slave? You need to bow down. You need to give up your freedom, give up every benefit that the MGTOW philosophy, for instance, affords you. Is that the answer, my brothers? The other question is, what right do women, Dr. Boyce Watkins, any simp, any cuck, white knight, what right do they have in telling you that you must be a slave, that your only option in life is to be a slave? What right do they have, my brothers? Is the answer they have no right and I have self-governance over my life? Or is the answer they have the right and I have no self-governance over my life? I have to do what is necessary in terms of the feminist plantation state. I have to bow down. The other question you should ask yourself is, why should I, as a free man, have any responsibility in cleaning up the messes that are made by women, etc., who got on the CC with Chad, Tyrone, Pookie, Ray Ray, who had multiple kids by multiple fathers, who are now single mothers, who are now women that are being cast out of their jobs, all these types of things that are happening. Like, for instance, the U.S. government is starting to call back those student loans, those high-end student loans on the people. And as much as they say that they're not going to clamp down, it is a guarantee that they are going to clamp down. So you have all these issues, the messes that are out there, the torn down communities, all the types of things that are going on. So the question again, my brothers, is why should you, as a free man, have any responsibility of cleaning up the messes of others who will not and will never take accountability for their actions? Is the answer to that, I don't have any responsibility in taking care of the messes of others who will not take accountability for their actions? Or is the answer, I, as a free man, must therefore fall on my sword no matter what and clean up the messes, clean up the mess of a single mother, clean up the community, the community? Is the answer that, my brothers? My brothers, again, you must consider the logic of their logic. You must consider the answers to those questions. If the answers are in every way possible, I will be a free man, regardless of what is being told to me, regardless of who questions my mental health, who calls me crazy. You have to look at those things, my brothers. There is nothing wrong with living a free life. There is nothing wrong with saying no, that I will not do things like rebuild a community which will only be torn down again. I will not waste my time with a single mother. I will not go out and do the deed in getting married. I will not do any of these things, but I will, as a free man, live in freedom and in peace. That's what you have to do, my brothers. The types of issues that we face are many, my brothers. But again, your life as a MGTOW man can be a wonderful life if you do not succumb to those who criticize you about your mental health. You will see as you walk along the MGTOW path that your mental health actually improves. This is because you have peace, you have solitude, you have the ability to do whatever you need to do as well as whatever you want to do. And when you need to do it, it is because of you putting yourself first and taking care of your needs, not the needs of a woman, not the needs of a single mother, not the needs of a community which, in essence, hates you and only wants your resources. That's what you have to consider, my brothers. That's what you have to look at and understand. My brothers, the MGTOW philosophy, regardless of how you are condemned and criticized for being a MGTOW, how you are assailed about your mental health, is a lifesaver, my brothers. My brothers, again, when these things happen to you, when you are told that you are crazy, when you are told that you are mentally ill because you are walking in wisdom, the only thing that you can do, my brothers, is to ignore those assaults, those insults, the condemnation, and walk along your pathway to freedom, which is afforded to you by the MGTOW philosophy, which is a lifesaver in every possible way. This is the MGTOW Infinium, and this has been an Infinium out and about. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.